my name is Dylan Gibson and I'm a concert and wildlife photographer here in Denver, Colorado. Today I'm going to be going over my preparation, research, approach, and post-show editing for my assignment tonight. I am covering Alvvays with support from the Beths at Mission Ballroom. Tonight will be my first time shooting Mission Ballroom, but this is not my first concert at Mission Ballroom. So the first thing I am going to do when preparing for a show is finding what the artist has been playing for their first 3 songs of the night for this tour. For those that don't know, the majority of the time that you are shooting on assignment, you will be limited to shooting the first 3 songs of the show from the photo pit. The first thing I'm going to do is go to setlist.fm, which is a website where fans will post a set list or those songs played during a show of the artist the day after. Going through the past few shows, I should be able to generally tell what 3 to 5 songs are likely to be played during that time that I'm allowed in the photo pit. Okay, so once we're here at Setlist FM, we're going to go ahead and type in the name of the band. We've got Alvvays here, spelled with the double V instead of a W. And once we get to the artist, we can go ahead and click on their name to make sure it is synced up with setlist.fm and their database of artists. So we've got tonight's show at the Mission Ballroom for August 24th. I'm going to go back to the previous few shows here and we'll see what those top 3 songs are. I'll make a little note to myself in Notepad. All right, so for their first 3 last night at Ogden in Utah, we've got Easy on Your Own, we've got After the Earthquake, and we've got In Undertow. So we're going to go back here to Boise. We've got Easy on Your Own again. We've got After the Earthquake and In Undertow. Okay. Go to Spokane, Easy on Your Own, After the Earthquake, and In Undertow. Seattle, Easy on Your Own, After the Earthquake, Undertow. All right, just one more. For Portland, yep, all the same. Oakland, Easy on Your Own, After the Earthquake, and In Undertow. Perfect. All right, these 3 songs should be the ones that they play tonight. So I know what my first 3 songs are. So now what I want to do is I want to go to YouTube. And we are going to search for Alvvays, Easy on Your Own live. And then we're going to go to filters, upload date this past month, and see what we get. What I'm going to be looking for here as I watch this video is I'm going to be looking for key moments during this song for their opener to determine when I need to be at a certain point in that photo pit, the moment I want to capture. Now that I'm done with determining what songs are going to be on that set list, I'm going to go back now, and I've already been to Mission, but I still want to get an overview, so I want to check out the venue ahead of time as well. So for this artist, their press contact and their confirmation email said that we can't shoot straight on, no under the chin, and we need to be from the left or right side of the photo pit for photos. For that first song, I'm probably going to be taking shots of the band as a group, as well as each performer individually. So what I'm looking at is I'm going to start over here, and I know their guitar player was stationed in this area. You had your synth player over in this area, obviously drummer behind, guitar player, and then I think the bassist was in between the lead singer and the synth player. That means for the first song is I'm going to be making my way over here, grabbing some nice shots of the guitar player. I'm going to be wanting to get some shots of the drummer, the lead singer from their right side, moving over here, getting some of the lead singer from their left side, the bass player, the synth player, and that by that time, the first song should be done grabbing all those photos, and then I should be in position and ready for the second song to start again, synth player, bass player, and then hopefully 2 minutes in, get the shots of the lead singer and the guitar player, and the lead singer with their projection behind them. I'm probably going to just try and get some interesting perspectives. Part of my style is I like to do shutter drag. It seems like their projection kind of has an old film nostalgic feel to it. which I think I'll use to my advantage to kind of mirror the band's aesthetic, in that kind of expired film, the shutter drag, the multiple exposure, double exposure type aesthetic is something that I'll probably be leaning into then for some of those shots during the third song. So as long as I feel confident for the first two that I've got some good shots of each band member, then for that third song is when I'll try and play around a little bit and get those long exposure shots. So that's my plan going into the headliner. After those first three songs are done, I make my way over here. I'll probably come back to this part of the venue in the back here, just kind of like this shot is a nice wide angle. I'll probably have my 24-70 on me right about here and get some crowd shots. I really like the glass disco ball that this venue has. So that's my plan going into this show. That's kind of my preparation, right? I want to see what the headliner's been playing. I want to see what their aesthetic is. I want to see if there's any key moments. And then I want to look at the venue to try and plan where I'm going to be during those key moments and in order to get the shots that I want to get. And I'm hoping to get a solid 10 to 15 out of each artist by the end of it. So I'm going to be shooting a lot. I'm going to be shooting often. I'm going to be shooting on a high drive mode for my cameras, and hoping from there, once I get home, I'm able to cull those down and get that solid group of 10 to 15 shots. So that's the plan going into it. That's the research that goes into it. That is how I get my preparation done and plan for these. So I'm not just running around that photo pit area for 10 to 15 minutes, not feeling comfortable and confident in what I'm trying to achieve by the end of that. We'll shoot the show, and then we'll come back and work on the culling and editing. Day after the show, and I was wrong. When the press person from the band said no straight on shots, only from the sides, I thought I was going to be able to take up about the left third and the right third of the photo pit, and that middle third was a no-go zone. That was incorrect. When I and other photographers there got to the venue, we were instructed by security that we could not take photos from the left corner of the stage to the right corner of the stage, anywhere in between. So basically anywhere that's the traditional photo pit, we were not allowed to take photos from. We could go in the photo pit to go from the left side of the stage to the right side of the stage, but we were not allowed to take photos there. We could only take photos from the left hand side of the stage and the right hand side of the stage. So basically we were perpendicular at a 90-degree angle from the two bands that were playing. A couple of photographers and I went up to where the guitar tech rig was on stage right, try to get some photos from there at the start of the Beths. That did not work out. Extremely tight space, a lot of expensive guitars were there on the side. It was a terrible angle, we couldn't see anything. They had two big black boxes that were draped with a black fabric on either side, so even if we went to the stage access on the opposite side, we still wouldn't be able to see anything because there's another black box on the other side completely blocking our view. I was able to get a couple shots of their drummer from that angle, but that was about it. It was not a good angle. So I shot then back down on the floor from the left hand side of the stage for the first few minutes, moved over to the right hand side of the stage for the next few minutes, and it was awful. It was not a good experience. It was not a good angle. From what I was able to gather from the other photographers, they had not had rules in place like this at other shows that they had shot. I've only shot 4 shows myself, so I don't have quite that much experience in some of these peculiar rules that artists will put in place for photographers. But everybody there that I talked to that was shooting that night was baffled by the rule of no head-on shots, no shots from the pit. Ended up shooting from the house at that point. The best angles I was able to find was kind of back in that stadium seating area like I showed you earlier. Getting some, basically eye level with the 2 bands while they were playing from the stairs in that stadium seating area. A couple from the sides of the balconies that were a little further up in the reserve seating area. Got some shots from, but other than that, this was a challenge. It was pretty difficult. I'll pull up my screen here in a minute, and we'll go over those final selection of photos. All right, so here are some of the photos that I took. I was able to get 9 photos of the of Alvvays, and then 5 of the baths. So I'll just go through here real quick to kind of showcase what I did. It was very simple. Lighting was great, so not too many edits. Just try to play around a little bit to make some of the things pop. So first things first, we got the guitar player. I flipped this around because I was on his opposite side because everything else I had was kind of in the same angle. So really all I did was crop in a little bit. Didn't really adjust too much on the overall settings. Quick and easy subject mask, up the exposure, drop the highlights and whites a little bit. Nothing else really there. And then for the background mask, just drop the exposure and contrast just a tiny bit. So pretty simple. Lead singer, guitar player, again, just made her pop a little bit. So another mask, upped her exposure and contrast, dropped her highlights and whites, add a little texture and clarity. And then the background, pretty much doing the opposite, drop the exposure and contrast, just to make her stand out just a little bit more. Show you the cropping power of the Sony A7 R5. A lot of megapixels to work with. Still really great clarity when zoomed in. Fantastic camera. Drummer, again, just try to make it pop just a little bit more, kind of leading into this kind of 80s-ish theme that they've got going on, like I talked about earlier. Just up the exposure and contrast just a really tiny bit, and then played around with the texture and clarity just a soft bit. Again, just a little bit. Some shutter drag here to play around again, because I wasn't actually in the pit. I was on balconies, I was in the house, on the sides, on steps, as you saw earlier, just trying to find angles and things to do. So for this one, again, it's very bright and white. So basically what I did here was up the contrast, drop the highlights and whites, drop the temp and the tint just a tiny bit to kind of lean into the blue, green, pinky, psychedelic colors, up the vibrance and saturation so the light trails would really stand out. And then up the texture and clarity just a tiny bit there. And then everything that I do, I pretty much denoise, might as well, right? So that is that. See what else we got here. Drummer here. All we're really doing, again, same thing, leaning to that blue green a little bit. All I really did was crop in on the drummer, and then kind of similar things, up the exposure and contrast, drop the highlights and whites, played around with the temp and the tint, up the vibrance and saturation, add a little clarity and texture back into it. So before, after. Again, you can kind of see when you up to the the texture and clarity, along with the saturation and vibrance, it really helps the light trail stand out. Again, same thing for the lead singer here. Cropped in just a tiny bit. Up the exposure contrast, drop the highlights and shadows and whites and blacks here just a tiny bit. Again, drop the temp and tint, up the vibrance and saturation, add a little texture and clarity back in. The keyboard player, again, a lot of what I'm already doing, and a lot of the other photos, so they all have kind of that similar vibe. I like that I was able to get their rhythm guitar player kind of back here in the background, walking through. The keyboard player looking out in the background. Just, yeah, a lot of the same settings, a lot of copy and paste. I was able to get this shot of this couple watching the show kind of on the balcony with lead singer playing and everything. So I kind of like the shadow here, silhouette. Leaned to that a little bit, drop the shadows and blacks to really, again, pull them back. Texture, clarity, right? Same song, different dance. And then finally, like the shot I was talking about earlier, I was able to get the lead singer with the projector repeating pattern of herself. So I was happy I was able to get in place and find a angle for that one. Again, up the exposure and contrast, drop the shadows and blacks, mess with the temp and tint, the vibrance and saturation, texture and clarity. Let's see, it looks like I had to mask something out. It's not showing me. I think there were some like water bottles and stuff that I took out. Let's see here. Yeah. So, yep, there's the original. There's the edit. Original, edit, right? So just lean into it a little bit, straightened it, and then cropped in. So yeah, those are the shots of Alvvays. Again, very hard to do when you're not in the pit with them. The Beths, they kind of had like this, got a shot of the lights with the disco ball in the venue, them playing, so kind of a bold shimmery look here. Again, boom, boom. Guitar player's whole shot was completely drenched in red, so messed with that in order to even him out. Drummer looking over, again, washed in red, even that out. Lead singer, guitar player masked out this microphone that was right here because, again, we were side stage. We couldn't really move around to get the right angles. We were kind of locked for those first three. Masked out the stand and just messed with some of the exposure contrast, temp. That was really it. And then a nice little line shot here with the bass player in focus. Nothing too fancy. Honestly, I barely even touched it, right? Just messed with the white balance a little bit to even it out. And then cropped in ever so slightly. So yeah, overall, very challenging shoot from a lot of the photographers, more experienced photographers I talked to that night. Very challenging for them as well. Wasn't a normal set of rules for the photo pit that night. So yeah, that's what I was able to get. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments below, and I hope to see you again in the near future. Thank you so much. Bye.